Hey guys, Sean from Dodeka Dungeon here once again. um, One of the interesting things about role-playing and Dungeons and Dragons, and especially DMing, is the improv aspect. Having an improv background and being able to compare that with Dungeons and Dragons, I see a lot of overlap between things that you're supposed to do and things that you're not supposed to do. And I think by following these rules, your sessions and the party as a whole will have a better time. I've been studying sort of when I have a great session or I'm in a great session and when I'm not in one. And what's fun for me, what's fun for the player, or when I'm a player, what's fun for me and what's fun for the DM. And normally a great session is not one that has to be planned. While planning can help, like having that established setup, you don't want to have it too much planned because first of all, it's not what D&D is about, and second of all, I think the best sessions happen when it's this cooperation between the players and the DM. That's the players direct the campaign in a certain way, and the DM really just adds to that and gives them exactly what they want. One of the main rules in improv is to always say yes. Now, I understand there's some moments as a DM where you don't want to say yes, like if they're going to commit homicide on all your NPCs, but say they want some sort of magic item, or if they want to attempt to do some cool stunt, it doesn't hurt to let them try, because I feel like as a player, I have a better time when I can work with the DM, and as a DM, I like that challenge. If the player gives me something, I can incorporate that into my campaign. The more they give me from their backstory, from what they want with an item, or what they may want to do with maybe their own spell or something, I can work with them on that. Like, okay, you want this in an item? I can make you that item because it's gonna be fun for me, and I get to control it, and I get to give you this really cool thing. Or if it's the backstory, you get to incorporate that into your campaign, which means it's fun for me, at least, I hope, as a DM. I think there's certain types of DMs, but I think it's good to get into a mindset of this is an opportunity. I mean, we DM because it's fun. I like DMing a lot, and I think a lot of DMs do too. So if you think it's like extra work, maybe try to have someone else DM, because maybe you're just putting on this burden because no one else will. But like, this is an opportunity, and by saying yes, you make the player happy because this is what they want. It's all about making the players happy. If the players aren't enjoying the campaign, why even run it? Because you could just go write a book if you want to be able to enjoy your story. I mentioned this before, and many DMs have. But just kind of working with them on that, I think, can be really advantageous to the campaign, to every player's fun. I mean, do you want to jump, across this big gap? It doesn't hurt to try. Or, and maybe help them a little bit, because it never feels good to just have your character definitely be punished for the risks, sure, but if they have this interesting idea of, I want to set this elaborate trap or something, then if it comes together, or if it doesn't in some sort of clever way, then at least the players have tried something, and maybe it worked, it did something really cool. It's not the DM's job to make the players' lives harder. It's to increase their enjoyment in a way that, this campaign is for them, You're not a player, you're just guiding them. Again, another really important aspect of improv is listening. It's not all about you. The other players, well, I say this both in improv and by players, have ideas and they want to make them known and share them. And if you just listen to that, it's telling you everything you need. Your player wrote a large backstory. Well, that they're telling you everything. They're telling you they want their backstory to make an appearance in the campaign, to be part of it. If they write this big backstory, they want you to work with them on their backstory. Oh, maybe there's something haunting their past. Well, if that comes back, that gives a lot of role-playing opportunities. And based off the type of player, just by listening and understanding what they have fun doing and what they don't, you can really just appeal to the player. So by not staying in your own bubble of, oh, this is going to be so great because I designed it and it's cool. It's like, okay, this player wants this. How can I give it to them? I mean, maybe I'm underestimating the DM by saying they're some servant, but I don't feel like that's a bad term. It's like you're a servant in a sense, but no, you're a director, you're a guide, someone to help the players along and help enjoy the session. But I think it's also an enjoying experience for you. You need to satisfy the players, work with them. And if they love combat, you get to design these really cool combat encounters for them. And maybe sometimes the players and the DM, what they idealize as fun, doesn't always line up. Then I think there needs to be compromise, because it's not going to be fun if all the players love role playing and you run a survival campaign for them. No one wants that. It's not going to be fun for the player or the DM, because the players can do things that is not in the setup for the campaign, and the DM wants the players to act a certain way, to think strategically and rationally, and that's not what the players think is fun. So either I think this is what creates antagonisms between the DM and the players, which leads to bad campaigns, and not because the design was bad, but because the execution was bad. And you need to give the players what they want, or else no one's going to have fun. Sometimes you have a really great night, whether it be a show or doing a campaign. One session might just really hit the spot. And this happens by all the certain things, but what I found is when the players and the DMs really work together, it's this harmonious moment. And maybe for you it wasn't exactly that's what made the session good, but analyze it. Don't recreate it, because you can't do that. Because it is partially improv, right? And it's fake if you try to recreate something that already happened and to make those jokes hit again. It's not gonna work. What works is incorporating the same thing that made that great and bringing that into the next show or the next session. And it's just a small tip, but it's about learning and evolving. It's not about staying in this one place. And once you get better and start to understanding the ins and outs and DMing better, these sessions will come more often. And don't worry if they don't happen a lot or that often, but they'll get there. And like even Critical Role has their bad sessions that aren't entertaining for the audience or probably the players. And it's okay. Those are learning experiences. And if every session was good, then the bar would be set differently and you wouldn't know what a good session was. So it just happens. So you've been a player. Put yourself in their shoes. It's both the DM's job, and if you're an improv player, to appeal to your audience. And if you don't know what it's like to be in that place, then it's hard to appeal to them. As a player, sometimes I've experienced some good combat and some bad combat, some good sessions and some bad sessions. And I think as a player, why wasn't that fun for me? What could have the DM done better, or how could maybe circumstance change that? And so when I DM, I try to make combat interesting by kind of taking all the things that I didn't like as a player and changing that. And sometimes you get into that habit of this is cool, this is what I want, because you're running as if you're a player. If your enemy is a player, and that's how it's supposed to be, because if your enemy is a player, their goal is to win, and that's not fun for the players. It's to set them up and have them think strategically, not so your creature can, if that makes sense. Like, if you put the players in this place where they're just screwed, and below them is piranhas, and in the towers there's enemies throwing explosives. This happened actually once in one of my campaigns. The players aren't going to have fun. They're not. And that's because you thought the session was going to be really cool because you liked the setup, but you have to put yourself in the player's shoes. Are they going to like that? Probably not. Should you have taken that same piranha concept and done it again because it was a running joke? Probably not. But we learn from this. Also, the best improv happens when no one is watching. This is when there's no audience, there's no expectations, it's just a bunch of goofballs having fun. And that's when it clicks the most. Because how can I apply this to Dungeons and Dragons, because with Dungeons and Dragons, if you are working against your players or working as if there's a wall between you and you're trying to show off, that's not going. It can't sometimes if like you don't know your players well and you're trying to put a good impression on, but often it's not about that or doing in a way that there's this wall and it creates antagonisms, but really cooperating with your players and just throwing that all away and having fun. Just working with them, and it just all falls together. So, all in all, I think that having that improv mindset can definitely help, but not necessarily just sort of having these tips in mind that I have learned from these two mediums that I think will help me and have helped me as a dungeon master. And also, every player is different, and it's just about adapting to that. As I said, being in their shoes, knowing what they want, not what you want, and also learning from your own mistakes. So those kind of together, I think, can really help your Dungeon Master experience. I don't know how much of these have, probably you've heard tons of different D&D YouTubers talk about DMing, and it's true, there is going to be some repetition, because in truth there are certain things that work, but I'm trying to put hopefully I put it in a way that is clear and helpful. And so if you're a DM or looking to DM, just keep these in mind and don't get discouraged. Because if you enjoy making this world and you enjoy seeing that smile on your player's face when you, bring someone from their backstory, or have this really cool combat encounter where they really get to shine, then that's when you know you love DMing. As usual, I don't have an outro, so I think this time I'll DM. You open your eyes. The torchlight is almost blinding, moving from sudden darkness to the light of the sun in front of you. The torchlight burns, causing your pupils to dilate and your eyes to grow fuzzy. As you regain your vision, though it is still weak and hindered by the torchlight, your other senses are heightened. You hear water dropping, rhythmic, slow, quiet. You have a feeling it is just you, for there's no other sound than the dripping of the water against the damp floor. You put out a hand and feel the cave wall, lined with soft, moist moss and rocky cavern surface. You catch something. You feel a vein of minerals running through the cave. You hear a noise. Shouting. Torchlight in the distance. The clamor of men in armor as they march forth. Organized, alert, and dangerous. They see you've escaped. Roll